Now, I would, as soon as possible, come back with step one, which is a 20% increase on the fees we had talked about, which was option A last week.
You
Option A.
can make that motion now if you'd like.
We can make that motion now.
You're
And,
welcome to.
and other things can be added. This is just the start. So at the moment, I would entertain a motion to do option A that was presented to us last week.
I will make that motion to accept the 20% increase.
And I would second that motion. Any further discussion?
How about if we negotiate a little bit?
I think, and I appreciate where you're coming from. I want to negotiate. I want to compromise. I want to get together on a playing field where we can all kind of respect what we're doing and respect one another. So my idea was, in making the motion, or having the motion brought, was let's take it one step at a time. I think weeks or months we can come up with lots of different options, stock plans or whatever.
Your negotiation, what is that, Tracy?
Well,
Amendment to the motion, maybe?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was, well, and of course, we have to discuss this, it sounds like we all three are very much concerned with a renewal program and the possibilities for that. We know that by only raising the fees 20%, we cannot support the renewal program. So how about, I don't necessarily agree with the three cities that we compared fees with. Someone else out there mentioned this as well. But if we raised our fees, as has been suggested, to an average of those three cities, and maybe did just a pilot program for 2 renewal properties,
I could
or
not.
5, I don't know.
That would be 45% increase. I could not support that. But I am open to talk after we do this motion.
But my
about
concern
other
is,
things.
that staff needs to have this in order to do the 2018 budget. We have to have these numbers in the near future, and we've talked about this for 4 months.
Yeah. Well, I could not do a 45% increase.
What I would like to see is, and this is what I've shared with people, is that we still have the fees that we lowered till the end of the year. We said it was 9,000 and something. Come January 1st, 2018, I would still like to see the 20% increase stay where it is, but I really would like to see some ideas come together for renewal. And we have to figure out, I don't feel comfortable making this decision when we don't know what the budget is right now for 2018.
Ryan, can you speak to
I would point out
that?
that the budget's going to be in large part built off of revenue and expenses, and the program that we presented had both. So there were some revenue projections that would be based off of whatever you decide for the permit and fee charges, as well as some expenses. I think we proposed around $70,000 worth of expenses. So to do that after the budget's made may be a little problematic.
So knowing that if we only raise the fees 20%, we will be able to predict how much less revenue we will get from the schools.
We can make an estimate there, yeah. And one thing that we've discussed at the last couple of meetings, and Nola has mentioned this as well, is that we do not feel comfortable telling you that a 20% increase can offset the cost of doing the renewal program. So that is one thing that I would keep in mind as well.
Yes, you've been very clear about that.
So there's a motion on the floor here to go ahead and to expedite things, to go for the 20% increase, which was option A on last week's paper. And Commissioner Moore has asked for maybe a 45%. I said I could not, and Kathy talked about some of that. To me, it would be a lot simpler to clear things up, especially even for staff, if they had direct marching orders. Okay, at this point, we're going for 20% increase on fees, and then let that go. We can always have discussions, and we can always implement changes.
Well, we can do that once a year, is that correct, Ryan?
Oh.
I mean, I realize we could do it during the year, but it would...
Preferably, we do do it
cost a
around
lot of
this
staff
right,
time.
Preferably.
But we could do it a different time if we wanted to.
You're welcome to do it every day if you'd like. I
Yeah,
would
we
suggest-
can
No, I don't wanna
we
do it
can-
every
yeah,
day.
We can add or,
Me either.
yeah.
Okay, before the vote, I would just like to say one more time that this is a decision that I don't believe we need to make, especially since we have the predictable building. And I do not believe that it is fair to our citizens to have them both subsidize and pay for the schools.
Okay? So, are we ready for vote? All, yes?
Public comment.
For motion?
Public comment.
Public comment, because it's an action item. All right? Anybody want to speak more about this issue? This is an opportunity, 3 minutes, and we're, have to open up this motion to that option, and we've kind of talked this around to death almost. And so, I think at this point, I'm open to, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, very good. That motion passes.